So, councillors, I open the extraordinary meeting on the 3rd of August 2021 at 6:02 p.m. So before the evening begins, I'd like to go through some housekeeping for the virtual meeting. I'll endeavour to ensure that everyone has the opportunity to participate in the debate. Be mindful that due to the virtual platform, the debate and questions will be different to the face-to-face meeting. When speaking, it is most important that you state your name prior to addressing the meeting, and also can you please do the hands up, and I'll definitely go through the order and I'll announce the order every now and then, but please put the hands up, not through the questions, and then I'll go through the actual hands. I'll make sure that everyone gets a good go. So now I'll go straight into the prayer. Almighty God, we humbly beseech you to bestow your blessings upon the council and to direct and prosper our deliberations to the advancement of your glory and the true welfare of the people of Randwick and Australia. Amen.
Amen.
Acknowledgement of country. I would like to acknowledge that we're meeting on the land of the Bidjigal and Gadigal peoples who occupied the Sydney coast, being the traditional owners. On behalf of Randwick City Council, I acknowledge and pay my respects to the elders both past and present, and to any Aboriginal people in attendance today. Could I have, well, there's no apologies and there's no lateness because everyone's here. So move straight on to declarations of pecuniary and non-pecuniary interests. Councillor Roberts.
Yeah, I just noticed the speaker, Mr. Kevin Morrison, non-significant, non-pecuniary. We used to be teammates in the over 45 football team at Maroubra United. He's a great centre back, but I will be voting on the matter.
That must have only been last week or something.
Oh.
Councillor De Souza.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you very much and good evening. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to declare a significant conflict of interest in items CS38/21 and CO36/21, and I will not take part in the vote or the debate. I have the reason being is one of the candidates running on my ticket, an independent, Paul Cooper, is associated with the gymnastics, etc. So I feel it wouldn't be appropriate for me to vote or involve myself in the debate. So I'll exclude myself. I'd say leave the room, but the meaning that I'll leave the room and turn off my camera, etc. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor De Souza. Councillor Bowen.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just in relation to the confidential item CS39, one of the tendering parties is known to me as I was involved many years ago, I might add, I think it's over 10 years ago, in my professional capacity in some litigation which involved one of the tendering parties, but it's non-significant, it's non-pecuniary, so I'll be voting on the matter. But I'd just like to make that declaration.
Thank you. And Councillor Andrews?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just in relation to CS38/21, the draft Heffron Park Plan and Management, non-pecuniary, non-significant interest. I'm aware of a number of persons who have made submissions for living in the city of Randwick. In relation to CO36/21, I am aware of a number of people who have applied for the tender from living in the city of Randwick, and I will be voting on the matter, however.
Anyone else?
Yeah, me. I got my hand up.
Yeah, but it's not coming up. It's not coming up on the screen. But go ahead, Carl.
Okay. Yeah. I'd like to declare a non-significant, non-pecuniary interest on anything to do with Heffron, especially CS38/21 and CO36/21. Noel has a person running as an independent, and I'm aware of this person, Paul Cooper, I think his name is. But I want to vote consistently to what I've been voting before, and there's nothing here that impacts me on doing so.
Thank you. Councillor Beach?
Thank you.
Mayor,
Yes, I'd also like to declare a significant non-pecuniary interest in CS 3821. I also know a number of the people who've made submissions through my involvement in the City of Randwick, but I will be voting. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, could I get clarification from the General Manager on one, please?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Mr. General Manager, CS 39/21. Would I be in a position to vote on the matter or discuss the matter? That's the tender for the Heffron Park.
Tender for, yeah.
CS 39/21.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it is up to councillors to determine their conflicts. However, I would suggest, Councillor D'Souza, you would not have a conflict in regards to the tender for design and construction.
Thank you. So just for clarity, because sometimes I get confused. So CS 38/21 and CO 36/21 were the two items I know you said it's up to us, but from your guidance, I should be excluding myself from the debate and the vote? Could I get clarity on that?
That's correct, Councillor D'Souza. In regards to the design and construction tender, you're not, you don't have a relationship with any of the tenderers.
No. Thank you, General Manager. So those two conflict of interest I've asked for an exemption, I hope is accepted, and I'll involve myself in the rest of the meeting and debate. Thank you, General Manager. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillors, I can see there's one hand up. Councillor Matson.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to declare a non-pecuniary, non-significant interest in your mayoral minute MM24 of 21 Environment Planning and Assessment Amendment Compliance Regulation. It relates to my wife's employment. I will manage it by not taking any part in the debate. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Matson. Any further councillors? And I'll just get you to remove your hand, Councillor Matson, please.
I'm trying.
And actually, because I have in previous meetings, I've non-pecuniary, non-significant, that I'm a non-ticketed member of South Leagues Club, South Football Club, and also a member of South Juniors. So for CS 38/21 and CS 36/21. And I suppose everyone's about to start to do the same. So
Yeah,
Mr.
I'm also
Mayor,
a member.
I forgot. Mr. Mayor, I forgot that as well. I am a member of the South Sydney Football Club, but I will be voting on the matter in relation to the plan of management and the tender.
I'm a member of South Juniors, so I'll be voting on the matter too.
yeah.
I'm a member of South Juniors also, thank you. Non-significant, non-pecuniary.
Mr. Mayor, I'm also a ticketed member of the South Football Club. I believe I'm a member of South Juniors, and one of my children also plays in the South Sydney Junior Rugby League competition. Oh, well, until recently, of course. Non-significant.
They'll probably winning first time ever they were winning the comp. But anyway, it's
Mr. Mayor, I'm a member of South Juniors. I do yoga there.
and that's Councillor Shuri.
Let's say I used to.
Look, if we're all doing this, I don't really feel the need, but I nevertheless can't be the odd one out. I'm a member of the South Juniors Club. I'm not a member of the football club.
Okay, add me.
Mr.
Councillor
Mayor, I'm
Hamilton.
the same. A member of South Juniors Leagues Club, but not the football club.
Yep, note me down as exactly the same as Councillor Luxford.
So I've got Councillor Roberts, you've still got your hand up. And
Yep, same as Councillor Hamilton and Luxford.
okay, that's clear. So let's move on. So we've got the address from the public.
Mr. Mayor, sorry.
sorry.
Could you call on Councillor Nielsen, please?
Oh, Councillor Nielsen. Councillor Nielsen.
Sorry, I don't have any declarations, but I do want to speak to an item on the business paper, CS 37/21, please. Thank you.
Okay. So I'll move on to now we have the addresses from the public. So I wish to advise that this meeting is being live streamed using an audio visual link in accordance with section 747A of the Local Government Act. I would like to remind all councillors that they will continue to be obliged to disclose, which we have done. Councillors continue to be obliged to protect any confidential information considered at this meeting. During the closed session part of the meeting, councillors should ensure that they participate in the meeting in a location where it cannot be seen or heard by anyone else. The announcement for the speakers, which we have one tonight. The public forum section of the meeting is also being live streamed using audio-visual link to allow submissions to be made to councillors. All members of the public addressing tonight's meeting have a maximum of 3 minutes and you could be granted an extra minute. Councillors may ask questions of the presenters at the end of each public submission. Our first speaker is on CS 38/21, Draft Heffron Park Plan of Management, and it's speaking against is Mr. Kevin Morrison.
Thanks, Danny. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. Thanks, and Brendan, the foreshadow who I am, and I also know Councillor Andrews from my association at Maroubra Precinct. Anyway, okay. So if I can start. So I'm speaking as a ratepayer to Randwick Council for 21 years. I'm also a user of Heffron Park as a football player. I swim and cycle regularly, and so I've also started playing tennis again during these COVID times. These are all sports hosted by Heffron Park, so I'm concerned about the intended changes of the use at Heffron Park. I'm also a financial journalist, and in my 30 years of journalism, I'm used to seeing financial schemes that don't look right and familiar with corporate spin associated with such schemes. Randwick has imposed higher rates on its community to fund the largest capital works programme in the council's history. But due to the lack of transparency in this process, ratepayers have no idea exactly where all their money is going. There is no separation between the cost of South Sydney Rugby League High Performance Centre, which offers office space for South's headquarters for more than 100 admin staff, a merchandise store and a licensed cafe to be operated by South of Kingsford, as well as hydro pools and state-of-the-art gym for exclusive use of South's players. What is the real total Randwick ratepayers are paying for this besides the $3 million already declared and on top of the $6.3 million ratepayers are funding for the South's training field, which will have minimal access to the community and therefore loss of public space to a commercial organisation that is owned by one of Australia's richest men and a Hollywood actor. This lack of transparency in the process has parallels with another example of private interests taking over public space. James Packer, one of South's largest shareholders, was given Sydney's second casino without tender. Note South had no tender for this. It was waived through, this is the casino, with the back of both political parties, the Liberal and Labor, which is also the same here. There was no public consultation about the handover of Barangaroo to Packer's Crown Casino, which I note are the shirt sponsors of South. And we have the same here. The awareness amongst the community about this handover of public lands at Heffron Park to South for 21 years, rent-free, is very, very low, which demonstrates the poor consultation Randwick Council has undertaken in this process. And given that we're in lockdown, this would also add why people are completely unaware of this handover. The 2021 Heffron Plan of Management is at odds with the objectives of Randwick City Open Space and Recreation Strategy. Why doesn't the council focus on the remit to service the community needs and not the vanity projects that have been saddling the council with debts, reducing public space and accelerating the loss of the public lands to private use? This has already occurred with the Maroubra Bowling Club, South Maroubra Reserve and now Heffron Park. I urge councillors to support the motion proposed by Councillor Vetch, which reflects the community concerns about the 21 Heffron Plan of Management. I conclude the council and its councillors have failed to meet the standard of its own purpose, which is to provide the best outcome from the communities. Instead, they have been starstruck by an association with a professional sports club. I conclude.
Sorry,
Mr. Mayor.
Sorry, I was muted. Sorry. And as I said, you finished exactly on 3 minutes, so thank you very much. Are you happy to take questions, Mr. Morrison?
Yep.
Yep. Any questions? Councillor Matson.
Yes, Mr. Morrison. Look, as I understand it, from Councillor Veitch's proposed amendment, she's seeking a deferral of the plan of management for more consultation. Do you think there would be some benefit to the community by re-exhibiting and seeking a more clarification?
Absolutely. I mean, when I speak to people, I mean, there's absolutely aghast at what this proposal, and they sort of wonder why haven't they been consulted? And part of the reason I think is, we are in lockdown, we are in exceptional circumstances. So the places that people may, whether it be the library or other sort of council places, they're simply not going because they're not allowed to. They're not allowed to move around, during this current lockdown. That's one of the excuses, but I don't know whether it's also sort of partly deliberate. Because when I look at the press release, I mean, again, I'm using my media background. I mean, no newspaper's ever going to use that press release. It was absolutely atrocious. I mean, maybe that was the intention. You don't want to highlight what's going on.
Thank you, sir.
Any further questions?
Yes, I have a question, Councillor Veitch.
Yep, go ahead, Councillor.
Thanks for coming and addressing the meeting. Did you put in a submission yourself?
Yeah, I put in a submission myself, and also I co-signed the one from Maroubra Precinct 2.
And, would you mind sharing with us, if you feel comfortable, was your submission along the lines of the statement you made tonight, or were you looking for things that were not included in the plan of management that you wanted to see included, or that you're aware that local community members might have wanted to see included?
I think the question, and I'm not trying to kibosh this, but the question has to be to the 3 minutes of what you spoke about. So the first question was the submission in line with what you spoke about is okay? But then if you the second question, whereas what else would you like to say, would be inappropriate. So
that's fine.
If you like to answer the first part, Mr. Morrison, that'd be fine.
Yeah, I mean, what I spoke about is also reflected in my submission. Obviously, only having 3 minutes. I think if I was to read out my submission, it would be a lot longer than 3 minutes. So, I couldn't include everything, but, one of the things I touched on, I just think it's completely at odds because, I read through the strategy. I attended the webinar and just all the things that discussed, when we were looking at the population increase in this area and the demand for public space, both indoor and outdoor. I just can't see how this, particularly just right now in the information that we've got, I just can't see how it's of benefit to the community. It just seems we're handing over this vital public space to a private entity.
Councillor Matson.
Just a follow-up question there. Look, council currently has a plan of management. Do you think that there's any substantial need to change from this 2009 version of the plan of management?
Well, all I would say to that is probably that it will probably need some updating because I guess what we're looking at now and the information we have to hand about the again going back to the population trajectory as well as how people spend their leisure time may be a little bit different to the way we saw it in 2009, and I think it should reflect that. I just can't see anywhere in both the plan of management where it says we should be really looking after a professional sports club. Particularly one where in your own studies, it's shown the participation rate is falling dramatically. And again, it's not widely participated by women. We've just seen the Olympics. Most of the gold medals won by Australians is won by women. And we're clearly not addressing the needs, through this proposal.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Morrison. So, councillors, seeing we only had one speaker, we go straight into the debate.
I've got a question, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, sorry.
I had my hand up, I thought.
Oh, sorry. It's not showing me. But go ahead. Councillor.
All right. Sorry about that.
That's not.
Oh, good evening, Mr. Morrison. Thanks for coming in. A substantial part of your address to us was concerned with the South Sydney component that's reflected in the proposed plan of management. And I think you indicated that you supported a proposed amendment, which I haven't seen, but I gather is coming from Councillor Veitch, to the effect of seeking some delay of adopting the plan of management on the basis of consultation. You're aware, aren't you, that the proposal for South, if I can put it in the vernacular, to move to Heffron has been in play, if I can put it that way, since 2013. So that's 8 years. So, I mean, you've been aware of that, I would suggest, for most of that time?
Yeah, I mean, I've been aware of the various proposals. Like there may be a conversation. I still don't know the rationale because from what I understand, and I've gone past Redfern Oval plenty of time. I can't see what the problem is with them staying there. Because from what I understand, they're still keeping that space. So I've always never really quite understood what the whole why it is the case, because historically, I mean, they've never. It was a team set up in Redfern. I mean, they've got a lot of supporters here. There's also a lot of East supporters, but besides that, it's I just keep going back to the fact that Heffron Park is a unique space that is largely used by the community, and that's what it should remain. I mean, that is what the 2009 plan of management is. It's really a community recreational space. So even though it's been in play since 2013, that would still require the changes of the plan of management to basically redraft the plan of management so it accommodate a professional sports cup, which, even though it's been around since 2000, I've never really sort of quite been in sync with the whole concept.
So just so I'm clear, so you're saying that you're not familiar with the reason why. And I don't want to put words in your mouth. You're not familiar with the reason why Souths are moving from Redfern, just to be clear.
Well, there's partly that, but I can't see. One of the things that really I really can't understand is why they need to have their corporate headquarters. I mean, their corporate headquarters is going to be bigger than the gymnasium for the public. I mean, I really don't understand that. I mean, there's plenty of office space around Maroubra Junction. The South Kingsford, they're getting another 17 stories, and the Kensington to Kingsford rezoning, there's going to be plenty of space there for them. I really don't understand why we need to hand over public space in order to have an office space, a merchandise store and a licensed cafe. Maybe somebody could persuade me why that there is a need for a state-of-the-art football field, but and maybe a gymnasium that if it had more community access, there would be maybe benefits in that. But really, the corporate headquarters and the merchandise store really, that is really, I find troublesome.
Thank you,
Councillor Matson. Mike, Councillor Maxon.
Just a procedural question, Mr. Mayor. If you're planning to go straight into your first mayoral minute, I'll have to leave. And
I was going to go straight into the debate for this one, actually.
Thank you.
There's no other speakers.
Got you.
Go straight into this. And Councillor De Rocha.
Just wanted to say, Mr. Morrison, that listening to what you've read to us.
Councillor De Rocha, is that a question?
It's a question. Just
Yep.
would you think it's a fair comparison to what you said about South's Cares or South's compared to James Packer's casinos?
Well, I'm only just forewarning. If I'm just forewarning that there is a lot of people in the community, the ratepayers, that when you discuss this issue, they are very, very upset about this, and they really don't see what the merit is. Why a large part largest capital works that Randwick is undertaking will partly, fund the facility for a professional sports club that is partly owned by one of Australia's richest men, it just seems completely at odds with what the council should be doing. So I'm only just sort of drawing parallels because, the Barangaroo, I mean, obviously, it's not on the scale, I'm not talking about the scale, but I'm just saying the process. There seems to be parallels when I look at the process, and we can all see what's happening at Barangaroo now. It really does smell, and so unless there's a bit more transparency about this process, there's just going to be this overriding smell about it. And
in comparison, Mr. Morrison, compared to Heffron and the casino, just think totally different. I think it's both so opposite to each other.
Councillors, any further questions? Okay, so now we will go into the debate. Councillor De Souza, I think you said you were leaving the debate. So we're debating CS 38/21.
Text. Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to move that.
Yeah.
Councillor Andrews.
I'll second it, and I'll second it, Mr. Mayor.
Oh,
Councillor Veitch, I'd like to move an amendment.
Mr. Mayor, would you like me to speak now or we'll allow the amendment first? The Mayor's on mute.
Sorry. So what I said was we'll have the amendment first in case you accept it. And if you don't, then we'll go straight into the amendment.
Mr. Mayor, I will second the amendment. Councillor Matson.
By Councillor Matson. And I don't know if I was still muted. Councillor De Souza had to leave the room.
Mr. Mayor, Councillor Veitch, would you like me to speak to the amendment or
speak to the amendment
to Councillor
we'll go
Andrews?
straight into the amendment. Yeah, go ahead. And sorry, and Mr. Kelly, is there a chance of making that bigger again like last week?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, councillors. Look, we've all read the submissions that have been sent to us by members of the public. This amendment is essentially calling for a public hearing. I know it's not currently a requirement under the legislation. However, there's nothing to prohibit council from having a public hearing with regard to the Heffron Park Plan of Management. And allowing members of the community to come and speak more directly about their concerns about the plan of management and what they would like to see included. There's a number of councillors here who were involved in the drafting and the sort of had input into the previous 2009 plan of management, which was much more extensive. There was a Heffron Park Plan of Management Working Committee, which had several members. There was a Heffron Park Plan of Management Community Representative Subcommittee. These two committees met 7 times in 2005, and they had input into a discussion paper, an issues paper. That issues paper was made public and people could put in submissions. On the basis of that, that was how the original 2009 draft plan of management came into being. And then that was put on public exhibition, and there was also a public hearing. So there was really extensive input from key stakeholders, from members of the community. And if we had had something like this in the 2020 plan of management, I think we would have avoided a lot of the problems that we've experienced with members of different sporting groups stating.
Okay. Councillor Matson?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And I don't like interjecting too, but the original, I probably need the Director of City Services to tell me if I'm right or wrong here, but the original plan of management, when there was all the teams discussing what was going to happen at Heffron, was in the days of when there was going to be a block of apartments and there was going to be an amphitheatre, and so it really was going to be a completely different situation to what we have today. But I'll go on to Councillor Matson.
We all remember the
I'm
block
very
of
sorry, I
apartments.
just lost my connection there.
That's why there was a committee, etc., because there was a block of apartments, an amphitheatre. There was a lot more going to happen. The pool was going. There was going to be a splash park, and that's why there was a big change in what was there now. Now it's just because it was virtually a greenfield site in those days. Now it's the actual plan of management is very similar to what's there now. So that's why there wasn't as much consultation, I assume.
Through you,
but I'll ask the
point of order. Point of order,
sorry.
Mr. Mayor. I believe Councillor Veach is not finished. She had a connection issue.
Sorry. Yeah, apologies. I lost my connection for a minute or two. It completely dropped out. Seems to have come back. I'm just going to wrap up. I didn't have my 5 minutes.
Oh, no, I just thought you were finished. Sorry, it must be.
No, I'd actually just dropped out. This is the vagaries of the internet online meetings. So yeah, just in conclusion, the public consultation for submissions closed at 5 p.m. last Tuesday, and as councillors we had we were given copies of virtual copies of the report of the business papers 24 hours later. And that's just not enough time to actually really deeply consider those community submissions. And I don't think in that instance that our community can really have any confidence that their submissions have been taken into account. This is a plan that will be in effect for at least 10 years. There's a lot of key stakeholders, and I think we need to do them justice and defer this and have a proper public hearing. Thank you.
Councillor Matson as seconder.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, I was elected in the 1990s. As far back as then, there was an understanding in the gymnastics community that council would at one stage meet their desires to upgrade the old World War II shed that they're currently using. When the 2009 plan of management was worked on, there was a definite feeling in the gymnastics community that they were working in a partnership with council with the intent of helping the council come about and bring a situation forward where there would be a new upgraded facilities. It's clear to all of us that there is a disconnect now between one section of the community, the pro-gymnastics view, and with that of perhaps ourselves. And that is over the two versions of the plan of management, the 2009 plan and the draft plan that we currently have before us tonight. Look, if there is a disconnect between us and a significant share of our constituents, of our community, I think we should go the extra 100 yards and reopen the consultation, sit down with them, work out what's going on and where we can mend the breakdown. We are councillors. We should be aware of the need to unite our community. And I would make the simple point that the gymnastics community does have a point when they look at the partnership we clearly have, a very productive partnership with Souths. I think there's options that could be put forward from the community into the draft plan of management for an alternative site of a gymnastics facility. It has been distributed to people. We are aware of the proponents who have put that. I think we owe it to the community to explore some of those alternatives and see if we can bring our entire united community behind us on the final adopted plan of management. We owe it to ourselves as outgoing councillors in this administration. Thank you.
Councillor Matson. Now, councillors, I have, just to let you know, I have Councillor Stravinos, Councillor De Rocha, Councillor Andrews and Councillor Bowen in that order in my speakers. So Councillor Stravinos first.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to ask the Director of City Services a couple of questions, and I want to then go into the debate. Now, to the Director, if the Council was to defer the plan of management tonight and go with what Councillor Veach is asking for in her amendment about conducting a public hearing, what would the implication be to the overall Heffron Park project?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. The plan of management is a condition precedent to the start of works for the Heffron Centre, so a delay in the plan of management exercise would result in a delay in the project. I do note that public exhibition was undertaken in accordance with the relevant legislation and Act, 42-day exhibition period, with a 28-day exhibition period of the documents and a further 2 weeks of the ability of council to take submission. I note that council left up all documents in addition to the exhibition period for the full 42 days, and the thought process as requested in regards to a public hearing, as discussed, is not in line with the current requirements of the legislation.
Okay, and a further question, follow-up. Would this public hearing, could it possibly jeopardise the state and federal government funding that has been allocated towards the project?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, whilst I couldn't say the public hearing in itself would jeopardise the project, given the level of statistics and support we have seen for the project, or the hearing in itself as an activity would jeopardise the start, it's rather the adoption of the POM in its entirety, if that was deferred, would compromise the commencement of the project.
Okay. Look, Mr. Mayor, I won't be supporting Councillor Veitch's amendment tonight. It's quite clear to me from what the director has said, time is money. The longer we drag on this project and the longer it takes for us to get to the construction stage, this is going to cost the council hundreds of thousands of dollars. It could even go into the millions if we continue delaying the construction of the project. Now, Councillor Veitch mentions here, and Councillor Matson mentioned earlier, about the submissions that have been put to council and the fact that we haven't had the time to consider them. Well, of the 86 submissions that were put into council, 61 of them were in relation to having a larger facility for Bunurong Gymnastics. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but the plan of management has nothing to do with the actual size of the facility. So the submissions that were put in towards the plan of management requesting a larger facility for Bunurong Gymnastics aren't relevant to what we're debating here tonight. That's a planning issue. What we're debating here tonight is the plan of management. And what the plan of management is, it's about defining the value, the use and management practices of the land upon which the Heffron Centre is to be built, and it sets out the strategic direction in which council should follow for the centre to be a success. Now, I believe this is nothing short of a tactic, a political tactic, which will sabotage this project. It could very well sabotage it. We're now talking about delivering a $57 million facility, not only for the residents and ratepayers of Randwick, but for the greater Sydney region. And I don't know how many times we've debated this. I don't know how many hundreds of questions have been posed to the council by the deputy mayor, and to our staff, and we've answered them. They've been answered hundreds of times. The reviews, we've had quantity surveyors who are experts in delivering local infrastructure projects, being involved in devising the costings. We've had a native title manager who's played a role in dealing with the sensitivities surrounding native title. We've had the involvement of independent town planners who have aided council in developing the plan of management, and we've had state and federal government organisations also involved in devising the plan of management and advising council through the various stages and processes to get to this, to get to where we are now. Now, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not prepared to jeopardise this project any further by putting a delay and creating a delay in having a public hearing come about. We're talking about $22 million in government funding, state and federal, that's been offered to the council so that we can build this facility. We're now going to be the owners of this facility, and we're putting in $3 million to take on the $25 million aspect of the south side, and we are putting in another $27 million for the gym. But at the end of the day, we are going to be generating an income for this council, which will ensure that we are able to further reinvest in infrastructure going forward. Now, look, I just can't believe that we've got this amendment before us tonight. This is just a stalling tactic. We've got 20 sporting organisations, 20 sporting groups from 90 different organisations who use. I'll wind it up. Who use this. Now we can't appease one particular group, just one vocal minority group that wants to have more than everybody else. We have to compromise, and what council has put before us tonight is a perfect compromise. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Question from Councillor Matson.
Through you to Councillor Stavrinos, when you said refer to one vocal community group that's getting too much, did you mean Souths or Bunurong Gym?
Well, no other sporting group, Councillor, has complained about what we're proposing, yet Bunurong Gymnastics keep on coming up and saying they want a larger facility. Look, they've got 20 other sporting codes who use Heffron Park. Which other group is going to miss out, Councillor? Which group are you going to say no to?
Further question, Mr. Mayor.
Question, Councillor Matson.
Question for you to Councillor Stavrinos. Do you think it's inappropriate for any one sporting group to get an absolute monopoly use of the Heffron fields?
Point of order. It's entirely irrelevant.
That's thank you.
Actually, Councillor Matson, will we get delving into netball, and because the netball courts are specific to netball, we'd be delving into soccer fields. So I don't think that's appropriate. So, Councillor,
I bow to your wisdom, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
But I would have loved the answer to the question.
Councillor De Rocha.
Yeah, first, I won't be supporting this amendment, but I will ask for a clarification because still in my head from the previous speaker, I feel that comparing what's happening there with South Cares to Packer is really, I think, offensive considering what South Cares does. I would like for Todd Clark to actually just clear the air here and actually tell us what South Cares really does before we talk about monopolism, before we talk about comparison to someone that's been proven to be corrupt with money or whatever. This here, I'm a Rooster supporter. I support soccer, but I'm still stuck on the fact that, we've vilified South Cares, and I need for Todd Clark to at least clear the air and refresh us, knowing what this group really does.
Mr. Clark?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Whilst I respond to the council's question in regards to South Cares, I will, I suppose, leave out the consideration or comparison with the Crown as discussed. But within my role on the project group, I was lucky enough to facilitate a community consultation activity with yourself, Mr. Mayor, early on in the project, in which South Cares General Manager Alicia herself presented to the community, which in itself seen some 1,000 views on Facebook Live. But within that particular forum, the General Manager of South Cares did mention some of the success of the community work that they had done specific to Randwick's LGA. I do also draw Council's attention to the fact that in 2010, Randwick City Council entered into a partnership with South in regards to South Cares and the charity providing support to our disadvantaged and local youth, which also seen the evolution of the Heffron Centre and the relocation of the Rabbitohs to Heffron Park to facilitate a new home for the charity, in addition to the football club. But specifically to some of the community activities to Randwick, as mentioned in that consultation exercise, over 5,000 participants go through, prior to the Heffron Centre as at current day, 5,000 participants go through the South Cares program, which again does look at the youth and disadvantaged youth of Randwick City Council. Some of the specific programs, they have an intensive mentoring student program, which in itself had 105 mentees within the Randwick LGA area. So that focuses on children and school mentoring. A Deadly Youth Mentoring Program, which is an intervention program with New South Wales Police, ranging from 10 to 17 years old. They facilitate wellbeing and health programs, focusing on HSC students. Looking at programs around bullying, mental health, and nutrition. Homework hubs, breakfast boot camps, and employment training. And in the General Manager's words at the time, they pretty much cater for every single group within Randwick City Council, from babies up to the age of 65, and that's prior to the installation of the Heffron Centre. The Heffron Centre would see home to South Cares as a charity in order to provide a better service in addition to what they already currently are in support of the South Sydney Rabbitoh Football Club as well.
Okay, just adding to that, that's a wow factor for me. So let's take away everything that was basically said about, the comparison between somebody just taking private ownership of the park, because it's not the case. We're expanding the park, making it a state of the art, and bringing kids into this. This isn't about.
Sorry, I have a point of order.
Okay, go on.
Point of order.
Yeah,
I don't believe that this is actually addressing the amendment. This was.
I think it is, because I don't agree with your amendment.
I'm speaking to my point of order.
I don't agree with your amendment.
I'm speaking to my point of order, Councillor De Rocha.
Councillor Veach.
I don't agree with your.
Councillor De Rocha, can you let Councillor Veach please ask the point of order?
Sure.
Councillor De Rocha is speaking to a point raised by a member of the public in the public forum.
And your amendment.
Not the amendment. The amendment doesn't refer to that at all.
Actually, Councillor Veach, I'll give Councillor De Rocha a little bit of licence, because the actual speaker actually said, I'm speaking on behalf of the motion by Councillor Veach, so he knew before we did. But
and not only that, I read my material as well. So this does.
Well, another point of order.
Veach,
can I ask a
Councillor
question
De Rocha, do you have
to
more
Mr. Clark? May I ask a question to Mr. Clark?
Yeah,
Is the agreement for lease and license with South's Cares?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the agreement for lease and license is with the South Sydney Rabbitohs, with provision for South Cares within the lease.
Thank you. The lease is not with South Cares. They are one small component.
Has a lot to do with the. You've just heard of what it does. This is not about one group over the other, Councillor Veach. I'm disappointed.
Councillor De Rocha finished? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Councillor Andrews.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Look, I speak against the amendment of Councillor Veach and Councillor Matson. I won't be supporting this. As Councillor Stavrinos has said, this is a tactic once again to delay this project. This has been going on for a considerable amount of time. It's gone to public exhibition as per the requirement of the Act. It's now time to put this matter to bed and to vote on the matter. I will not be supporting the amendment. This matter needs to be dealt with tonight. There's been significant engagement to the community. We've received the feedback. It's now time for councillors to vote on this matter.
Councillor Bowen.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I won't be supporting this amendment. And I do agree. I think it is the purpose in reality is to just delay the proposal that's going to see a rejuvenation of Heffron Park. And I echo the sentiments of Councillor De Rocha. It's very disappointing to hear, various allegations made, really serious allegations, without any sort of substance. And that's been a bit of a feature of some of the argument about this proposal, which, as came out during the discussion, has been in the public domain for 8 years in various forms. And now we're at the point where it's going to become a reality. And I think it's worth saying that, as clearly indicated by Mr. Clark, that part of the component of this is for South Cares. There's no disputing that. And I've been fortunate enough to see the work of South Cares up close. And the reality is it does things that no other organisation can do by virtue of the unique position of South, quite frankly, amongst our Indigenous community. And that organisation can get to people, can do things that I don't believe any other organisation can do. And so I think this characterisation of this as some sort of corporate juggernaut is really grasping, to be honest. And what's more is the other feature, of course, with the South Football Club is the representation on the board of South by South Juniors, who support not only junior rugby league, but women's sport, women's league, netball, our surf clubs, provide an outlet for a whole host of activities across our community, and that will also be reflected in this proposal. And I found it interesting that the speaker tonight appeared, and I don't want to misquote him, but he appeared unaware of the reason why Souths are leaving Redfern. The reason they're leaving is they have to. And the City of Sydney, for whatever reason, would not is the owner of Redfern Oval. Souths probably have some use rights there, but for whatever reason, they're happy to let this wonderful community organisation leave their area. And I, for the life of me, don't understand that. But that's not something we should turn our back on, particularly if we've come so far on this long and complicated process. And the other thing I would just point out is that, you know, in the unique role that South Cares and South can play in our community, and I'm not emphasising that at the exclusion of all the other sports which use Heffron Park, which I'm well aware. But, you know, I was thinking that when thinking about this debate tonight, and I read in the paper, I think it was yesterday, that Latrell Mitchell, South player, he's gone to the trouble of calling out people on social media who have racially vilified him. He's gone to the trouble of, you know, standing up for his own civil rights, his own individual rights. That's the sort of, you know, leadership we need in our community. That's the sort of leadership we have to be able to offer to the young generations and those in our community who are, you know, marginalised and have suffered injustice. So there's a lot wrapped up in this. I understand the concerns, but at the end of the day, this has been a very long process, been a rigorous process. Most of the suggestions about, there's been a lot of suggestions about something untoward or whatever. I've never seen any substance of it. I believe this will be a great concept for our community, and I will not be supporting the amendment, and I'll support the recommendation on the paper.
Councillors, I've still got Councillor Parker and Councillor Roberts, but I need to ask Mr. McNiven. I think Councillor Matson dropped out and he can't get back in. I don't know if you've got him there.
Leave it with me, Mr. Mayor. I'll try and get him back into the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
I contacted Howard, who's working with him, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Councillor Parker.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, just considering the significance of this particular issue, I'd suggest that we continue debate on the matter, but not hold a vote until Councillor Matson is returned, just to the significance of and the public interest in this particular matter. That would be my strong suggestion, if he is in fact having technical issues. On this particular amendment, I do not support what is proposed by Councillor Beach. There are several reasons for that. I think the principal reason is it relates to there is no proposed change to the Heffron Park plan of management. I understand that there are various opinions of individuals outside in the community on either way as to the merit of this particular proposal. But I don't think that it is appropriate for this amendment or a proposed public hearing to the Heffron Park plan of management to serve as a de facto debate on the merits here or there of the Heffron Centre and any agreement with the Rabbitohs. I think that argument has been extensively had via community consultation. It's been extensively had at various council meetings, and council has had a consistent position in regards to that, as has the community, I would further add. I understand that there are vocal views on both sides, but there's been a clear community expectation, at least that I have received, for a desire for this particular facility. In direct reference to this amendment, point D and point E, the holding of a public hearing. The first thing is it's not required anymore under the Act. The second thing I would point out is there is no proposed change. If we were to accept this amendment, we would be holding a public hearing on a plan of management that has been in place for over a decade. Going to the community saying, community, there is no intention to change anything on this plan. That would be a nonsense. And then the third item I would say relates to point E, which has been thoroughly touched on, is the real effect of this would be to delay the fulfilment of the project And when I look at that, I go, well, if the clear intention is to defer the project from proceeding, a more appropriate place to have that argument would be under the confidential sections as relates to the two tenders which would be discussed tonight, not in a proxy discussion around the plan of management to hold a public hearing that is neither required under law or really for any practical purpose, because we're not suggesting any change. We've already gone to the community, we've heard their views in relation to it, and we're suggesting no change. So that there's no requirement for it. So I can't support this amendment because what it seeks to do is it seeks to present itself as a transparency measure, but what it really does is intends to frustrate the procession of this quite significant public project, which has quite significant public support. So look, I can't support it for those reasons.
Councillor Roberts.
Yes, thank you. Good timing. I cannot support this amendment either. I won't take up too much of people's time. My arguments mirror most of the other speakers. I would just like to point out, though, that Souths is owned 25% by the members. So that is a significant ownership proportion. And if those individuals had not invested in Souths, we would not have Souths playing in the NRL today. And we would be lamenting that, just like everyone who lives in the North Shore don't have the North Sydney Bears anymore. And we would all be shaking our heads and looking on at everyone else and thinking, well, in fact, we did experience it for many years. Souths were kicked out of the competition. So I can't think of any nearer death experience than what happened to Souths and the NRL. And, for all the strengths and weaknesses or the good and bads of those particular individuals who invested in Souths, they invested in Souths. They have a percentage proportion, and thanks to that investment, Souths are now part of the NRL. They've won some premierships, and the community were very happy to see that. The bottom line and the fact of the matter is most NRL clubs run at a loss, so they don't make money out of Souths, frankly. We all know that. So on the basis that there is now an opportunity for Souths to relocate, like our community would expect us to jump at that opportunity so they could have Souths in our community, because the alternative would be Bayside would jump at it, or someone else. And we would also, everyone would be scratching their heads saying, what happened there? And so, I think we've come up with a pretty good deal here. We have millions of dollars in grant funding from state and federal level that is basically funding this high performance centre. They will then be co-locating with a sports centre and a gymnastics centre that we're going to be funding and we'll be getting a return on. And I think that's a very good deal for our community. They will now be able to come down after work at night time, say it's finals, it's September, and we're in the finals, and they can come and support their own team in their own backyard. And I think that'll be fantastic. The community have access to all of Heffron Park, and they'll have access to that particular training field most of the time anyway when Souths are not training on it. I think it's eminently fair. I feel that this amendment is potentially politically motivated to appeal to a certain sector of the community. I'm strongly confident that most of the community support Souths moving here, provided that we don't fund it all, and that is exactly what we've done here. We've secured $18 million in grant funding to secure Souths in our area, and frankly, our community don't expect anything less. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Veitch, do you want to wrap it up?
No, a point of order, Mr. Mayor. There's no wrapping up.
It's an amendment. It's an amendment.
Sorry, okay. I'll put it to sorry, Councillor Matson, you've got your hand up.
Just quickly, there can only be one amendment before the council at any one time. And the second point is a question to Councillor Roberts. if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Councillor Roberts, you noted the history of Souths and spoke about their time of disenfranchising when they were cut out of the consultation process in their own field. Do you not think that the same is now happening to the gymnastics community?
Point of order.
Actually,
I'll respectfully decline the opportunity to answer that.
Okay. So, councillors, I'll put the amendment.
Question time for councillors, seriously.
Councillors, I'm going to put the amendment. So, all those in favour say aye.
Can we call for a division?
Can we have a division,
There's a
please?
call for a division. Cool. Let me just get my list. I'll do the usual. I'll go around the horseshoe. So, Councillor Hamilton.
Against.
Councillor Shuri.
For.
Councillor Nielsen.
Against.
Councillor Beach.
For.
Councillor Stravinos.
Against.
Councillor Luxford.
Against.
Councillor Parker.
Against.
Councillor Singh.
Against.
Councillor Andrews.
Against.
Councillor Bowen.
Against.
Councillor Matson.
For.
Councillor Roberts.
Against.
Councillor De Rocha.
Against.
Councillor De Souza. Oh, he's not here. And the Mayor is against, so I declare that lost. So, Councillor Andrews, speaking on the motion.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I move the recommendation before us on the business paper. Mr. Mayor, as a Central Ward Councillor, I'm very proud to move this plan of management tonight. Being a councillor who has been involved with the redevelopment of Heffron Park since I first got elected in 2000. In 2004, Mr. Mayor, we started a new plan of management for Heffron Park, and in 2009, we prepared a new plan of management. Mr. Mayor, a plan of management is a document that defines the value, the use, management practices, and the intent for public purpose for which the land has been reserved or dedicated. What we've done now is create a new plan of management, which is called the Heffron Park and Management of 2021. Mr. Mayor, this document is basically exactly what is in the 2009 document. However, it allows for the continued use of Heffron Park by the community, an expansion of land categorised as general community use, a significant upgrade to the outdated and poor quality sport and recreational facilities, a delivery of a showcase field which allows for the shared use between the community and the South Sydney Rabbitohs, a new category of natural area bushland which protects the small area of planting and maintains the current use and enjoyment for our community, and an increase in the area categorised as park, which provides an upgrade to passive recreational area and opportunities for leisure activities. These are the differences in this plan of management compared to the 2009 plan of management. This is a win-win for our community. It protects Heffron Park as public open space. It allows for various uses by our community, and I'm very proud as the Central Ward Council and as a councillor who has been involved in this project for a very long time to move this plan of management tonight.
Councillor Stravinos, a seconder.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, before I talk on this matter tonight, I'd just like to congratulate our council and our staff who have worked tirelessly, not only in preparing these reports over the last 7 years, in making the dream of the Heffron Sports Centre become a reality, but they've been there for us as councillors to answer all of our questions. And we are now about to deliver the largest single piece of local infrastructure ever to be delivered by Randwick City Council. We're talking about a $57 million facility which will not only benefit the residents of Randwick, but will provide a benefit to the Greater Sydney region. The Heffron Indoor Sports Centre has been subjected to any number of reviews. We've had quality surveyors, we've had experts in management, we've had independent town planners.
Mr. Mayor, point of order.
How?
We're talking about the plan of management.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about now. Kathy?
It's clearly going off on a side tangent.
No, it's not. Look, Mr. Mayor, can you please
sorry, Councillor Trevinos and Councillor Nielsen. I'm just going to allow Councillor Trevinos to speak on that because the actual speaker, Mr. Morrison, actually virtually the whole speech was regarding the actual
Exactly.
So,
thank you.
Go ahead.
Now,
you have
Mr.
got
Mayor,
your time limit still on, Councillor.
Yeah, I will. Now, Mr. Mayor, the whole purpose of this plan of management is about defining the value, use, and the management practices of the land upon which the Heffron Centre is to be built, and it sets out the strategic direction in which the council should follow for the centre to be a success. Mr. Mayor, there was a suggestion earlier that this centre will be monopolised by one particular group. That's just wrong.
Yes.
Completely wrong. Completely wrong. Now, I remember when we had Mr. Shannon Donato, who was the responsible for South Cares, coming to the council, talking to us about what South Cares delivered for our community. Truancy in the Randwick City government area went down by 99% amongst Indigenous students. This facility, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Sorry, Councillor. I can't hear Councillor Shuri. Your point of order. Sorry, I can't hear you.
She's saying that I'm going off tangent.
I can't hear whoever it
It's
is.
Councillor Nielsen.
Councillor Nielsen, is your mic on? You're really faded.
My mic is on, I believe. Can you
Okay.
hear me now?
Yeah.
So talking about South Cares has nothing whatever to do with the plan
It does.
management of
It does.
Park. Please, could you just
It
bring
does.
the councillor in and
All right,
talk about
okay.
the plan of management? Thank you.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
I
A plan of
concur with
management
Councillor
is about
Nielsen.
delivering for the community. And this is what South Cares is doing, and that's what that facility will do for the community. Perhaps you don't care about that, Councillor Nielsen.
Well said, Harry.
Okay? Perhaps you don't care about that. But look, I'll continue, and I hope not to be interrupted. Okay? Now, we're now going to be delivering this facility for 20 sporting different groups that we've got in our community, representing 90 different organisations. There'll be any number of groups who will be benefiting from this plan of management, and it will be delivering a successful facility for our entire community. Now, we had 165,000 residents who live in Randwick, and we had 86 submissions in total. Okay, and of that, the majority of them weren't even about the plan of management. They were about enlarging the size. And this is what the Greens have been banging on all night about, and what they've been banging on about at every meeting that we've had, about trying to get this extra size, yet it's totally irrelevant to what we're debating here tonight. Totally irrelevant. Now, Mr. Mayor,
you're totally
if we were to try,
Trevinos, you've got 20 seconds to go.
Thank you.
Just wrap it up.
I note that there were also submissions against the public-private partnership between Souths and Council. Now, I don't believe that Council would have been able to deliver this project without the aid and assistance of a private organisation, and this would not have gone ahead. The actual centre would not have gone ahead. There is no way that this Council could have funded a $57 million project on its own, and we obtained the funding through the state and federal governments, and we wouldn't have been able to do that without the South Sydney Rabbitohs. And we should be thankful that we have a football club in our area who are going to not only put a whole
Mr. Mayor.
but they're going to be people to the area and benefit the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Councillor Matson, Councillor Trevinos is finished now. There's Councillor De Rocha and then Councillor Shuri. So, Councillor De Rocha.
Firstly, well said by Councillor Andrews and Councillor Harry Stavridnos. And I revisit Councillor Murray Matson about we are councillors. This plan of management is the right thing, and I'd like to commend everyone from Todd Clark, Kerry Keriakis, and everyone else that's put this together, because this is what the people have been asking for a long, long time, a multi-purpose park that everyone can use. We keep going back to South, and when we mention South, we say, hang on a sec, we shouldn't just mention one group. But then another side says gymnastics. This isn't to and from. This is about, the right plan of management for the future. And I think that the staff at Randwick City Council has got it right, and I think we should go as per the business paper.
Councillor Shuri.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As it is about the whole plan of management, I'm actually going to throw in another grenade, well, not a grenade, a comment. I'm really keen for us to upgrade our BMX facilities, or we haven't even got one, to have a BMX facility.
I'm with you.
I did not, having watched it on the Olympics, and now I am a total BMX aficionado. I want you to all know that. I note that we are going to have discussions with the BMX community about building them a particular site, but I would really have liked to see the BMX community given a little bit more space in this plan of management, and that's probably all I'm about to say. But yeah,
Malabar would be great
if it could fit. But okay, councillors, anyone else like to speak? No, so I'll Councillor Andrews, do you want to close?
Yeah. Look, Mr. Mayor, in closing, I'm going to put this to the council because I think it's time that this matter is wrapped up and we move forward with this project. Just touching on what Councillor Shuri said, I do note there was some submissions in regards to a BMX facility in the city of Randwick. I understand that council is looking at a area in the city of Randwick for a BMX facility. So we will be addressing that issue in respect to the sport of BMX bike riding. And I'm very proud to say that council will one day have a BMX course in our city. So I'm happy.
Malabar.
In Malabar.
Councillor De Rocha.
Councillor.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor.
And you should be proud of that, Councillor De Rocha, for your input in lobbying your ward to have that facility. So, Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to put this matter to the council.
Okay, so councillors, I'll put it to the division, so I'll just go straight to division. Councillor Hamilton.
4.
Councillor Shuri.
4.
Councillor Nielsen.
4.
Councillor Veach.
Against.
Councillor Stravinos.
4.
Councillor Luxford.
4.
Councillor Parker.
4.
Councillor Singh.
4.
Councillor Andrews.
4.
Councillor Bowen.
4.
Councillor Matson.
Against.
Councillor Roberts.
4.
Councillor De Rocha.
4.
And the Mayor is 4, so I declare that carried.
Mr. Mayor, if you're going into your mayoral minute, I'll leave my computer, and if you could arrange for someone to text me.
Because there's 2 mayoral minutes now, Councillor Matson. Which number was it? Sorry,
it's the top one that was actually printed in the business paper.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So I'll go now, shall I?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you.
Good night, Murray.
Good night, guys.
Night, Murray.
Surely.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor. I'm just waiting on Councillor De Souza to come back into the meeting.
Thank you, General Manager. I'm back in the meeting. Thank you.
And will Councillor Matson not be coming back for the rest of the items on the business paper?
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. I don't know why everyone's saying goodbye. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're as confused as I am. So, councillors, I'll put forward mayoral minute MM 24/21, environmental planning assessment amendment compliance fees.
This is a move it, Mr. Mayor.
Move.
It's a mayoral minute. Sorry, it's a mayoral minute.
It's a mayoral minute. So, councillors, I assume you've read through it. It's another unfortunate means that council won't be able to raise funds, and this virtually goes along with the next mayoral minute, which is infrastructure contributions, we'll talk about that when Councillor Matson comes back. So MM21, so I think you've read through it. Unfortunately, if we go ahead with, if the state government takes our compliance fees, will be virtually $180,000 in arrears, which would probably have to come through rates. So, councillors, I put this to you. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Declare that carried. Can we have Councillor Matson back, please?
I think he's gone for the night.
You'd be wise to.
Like walkabout.
He's gone to Heifer Park.
There we go.
Councillor Matson's just coming back in now.
Come back. So now, Councillor Matson, now we're into on all councillors. MM 25/21, the Environmental Planning Assessment Amendment and Infrastructure Contributions. Now this is a late Merrill Minute, and you should all have got this today via email. Again, the state government is planning to amend the rules and take away our infrastructure developer contributions. Now, luckily, Randwick Council was able to put a submission in, and your submission has been given to you by Stella. Now, I'd also like to point out that LGNSW has asked, because of the short time frame of writing submissions, a lot of councils weren't able to. So LGNSW has asked all councils to please submit Merrill Minutes that we state our case of why this is such a bad idea. The Treasurer, Dominic Perrottet, unfortunately, when we was told that councils would lose millions of dollars, was told, oh, they can make it up in rates. So we really do base this, and we really need this this contribution. As you know, it's usually 1% is the levy, and in K2K it's 2 point something. So we really do need these contributions, otherwise we cannot fund half the things we do for the community. So, Councillor Matson, you have your hand up.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, with reference to K2K, that really represents a real breach of faith from the state government. We had years of negotiation and dialogue with them over that scheme, which was to recompense us for the need to establish community facilities for the developments in K2K. That's a real breach of faith, really.
That's right, and especially as staff worked harder to get higher than that 1%. So it's very important, and considering what we've gone through with K2K to get it to this stage, it is a very important levy. And Councillor Sang.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I got a question. Why do you think the government is doing this?
I can only imagine. There's nothing been stated, and as I said, the Treasurer said he can get it back through. We could get it back through rates. I can only imagine that during COVID or etc. that they need the funds, but I can only take a guess.
Thank you.
Is there another hand up? No. So, councillors, I put it Merrill Minute MM 25/21 to you. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? I declare that carried. So now we move on to any urgent business.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have some urgent business.
Councillor Bowen, I'll get you to state your urgent business, and then we'll vote on it.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, thank you. Probably like I'm sure all of the councillors in the last week or two, my inbox has been bombarded with emails from local residents who are concerned about development, and I'm mindful not to nominate a particular development, even though it may not really matter, but there has been some news in our community, in my ward, that has unleashed a huge wave of anxiety. And part of what's apparent to me is, notwithstanding the basis for that concern, is a lot of our residents believe, and fair enough, that council...
Mr. Mayor, I know what he's talking about. I'm declaring a conflict of interest, and I'm leaving the debate on this one.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I suppose anyone else who's on the planning panel might feel the same way.
Yes, I'm on the planning panel. Thanks for the notice.
I'm not. I might add, I'm not specifically referring to any, but I understand you. But I think it's probably best, yes, looking at the wording I've got here.
Sorry, Councillor Bond, is there any ways to expand that, Mr. Kelly, please?
I thought I sent it to you, Mr.
Oh,
Kelly.
no, as in make it bigger.
Oh, you've got it there. All
Yeah,
right.
thank
Yeah,
you.
sorry. Yeah, well, look, basically, the point of the motion is that lots of my residents in my ward, and no doubt across the council generally, have been
Can
in
I second this, Councillor Bowen? Sorry to interrupt.
Well, yes.
Well, we have to vote on whether it's urgent. We accept
Oh,
urgent business. Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, jump the gun.
That's right. And so I think there is a feeling in the community, and perhaps a misunderstanding, a very sort of understandable misunderstanding, if that makes sense, that we have a significant role in terms of development applications. And of course, since 2017, the role of the councillor, most unfortunately has been gutted, because we don't have any role in development applications, which, really is, I would say, the key function of the councillor. But in any event, so I think there's and so we've obviously been receiving a lot of pent-up concern and anxiety in our community coming to us as the elected representatives of our local area regarding a particular proposal, but I think more generally as well. So the urgency is, I think, to give an assurance to our community that we as a council stand strongly with our planning controls. And insofar as we can, we will have them applied and adhered to as strictly as possible. But of course, that and so I think it's really important that we make a statement to our community in response to these proposals that have been coming, that are, flagrantly outside our planning controls in very sensitive areas.
A point of order, Mayor. Councillor Andrews.
Councillor Andrews.
Mr. Mayor, can you make a ruling as to whether this motion is urgent business or not? Or
Yeah, I'll do that now, so then you can speak on it more,
next meeting
Councillor.
on council. Mr. Mayor, if I can speak on Mr. Mayor, this is not urgent business. This matter can go to the next council meeting.
Oh no, it's urgent.
It's urgent. Well, actually, Councillor Andrews, we'll know that in the voting. So I'll put it to the councillor.
Can I just speak to the urgency?
Can we take the division?
Oh, yeah. Okay, Councillor Bowen, speak to the urgency, because that is the matter of point.
The reason it's urgent is because I've got someone's interrupting me. I can't hear.
Councillor Bowen, go ahead.
Yeah, the reason it's urgent is because I've got no less, I would suggest, than 50 emails in the past few days from my constituents who are very concerned about some news that's been unleashed on the community and are coming to us, understandably, saying, wanting us to do something about it. Perhaps unaware that because of legislative changes, we've got no power to do anything about it, other than to echo their concerns as leaders. Now, if we let that drift off into the ether, into 3 or 4 weeks away, what are we saying to all these to our community who are reaching out to us right now? It's an entirely urgent matter, because they need to know that their council is hearing them and understanding their concerns. And that is the point of this motion, is to say that we as a group of councillors support our planning controls, and that we call on the state government to reject any proposal that is outside our planning controls. And that's, if I hadn't received 50 emails in the past 72 hours or whatever, perhaps I might feel differently. But I don't want to leave my community swinging without a clear statement from this council in response to their concerns. So that's the urgency, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. So, councillors, I'll put the urgency. So I'm putting the urgency.
Can I ask a question to Mr. Mayor? Can I ask a question to Councillor Bowen, please? Councillor Bowen, are you referring to an article that appeared in the Wentworth Courier and then subsequently the Daily Telegraph?
No, I'm referring to, there has been media, and I don't know about a proposal, and I don't recall seeing that one, but I am specifically referring to the large volume of emails I've received in the last few days that have been generated by concerns about a proposal. That might be the one you referred to.
No, can I just to clarify for Councillor Sen, because I think I know he's talking about the rezoning that was in both the Sydney Morning Herald and
no, I'm not talking about that.
So it's not that one.
No, no, it's not.
So, councillors, I'll put the urgency. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Again,
Aye.
declare that carried. So, Councillor Bowen, do you want to speak any further?
I think I've said everything that needs to be said, so I'll just reserve my right. But I'd encourage the councillors to support it, please.
And Councillor Shuri?
I really welcome the fact that Councillor Bowen has brought this forward as an urgent motion. I'm swimming like you were under this deluge and feeling particularly helpless and not knowing where to turn. So I'm really grateful that you've put forward this this motion. At least I feel I'm doing some small thing to help. So thank you. And I urge everybody to vote for this.
Any further councillors wish to speak?
Yeah, Councillor Andrews, Mr. Mayor. Look, I support the motion. However, you know, as councillors, we should be able to communicate with our constituents and respond to emails individually and be able to reaffirm with them our existing controls in Randwick City LGA, in particular the height limits, floor space ratios and parking. You know, we are councillors, we represent our community, and if a constituent writes to you and emails you, you respond and tell them that you will support and adhere to current council controls, and you'll call on the state government to make, you know, to agree with council's LEP. You know, I don't see why we need to reaffirm this tonight, but I'm happy to support it. But it goes without saying, existing controls is what this council supports.
Any further speakers? So,
Yes.
Councillor D'Souza.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
And Councillor Neil. Yes.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I have received emails, not 50, one or two.
We've
But
all
what?
received.
Sorry, am I on? So,
Yep,
but
go
it
ahead.
didn't matter whether I received 50 or 100 or just one or two. It became obvious to me that this is an unnecessary overdevelopment of a particular space. But is it not just a development? It actually, Mr. Mayor, will change the landscape of Coogee. What we will be building is a mega structure which will destroy the fabric of a community. And let us not pretend that this is not going to make a difference. It's like a 16-year-old that's going to the ball and develops a pimple. This is not as simple as that, and it's disgusting. This is more than one pimple because it starts as one and it spreads. So, Mr. Mayor, it's really, really, really important that we put our foot down now. What can we do? Well, we can protest, and we can join the community in protesting. Yes, it'll be the state government will make a decision, but we also need, as a community, to show solidarity. This overdevelopment will start, and like the virus, like the pandemic, like the other problems in the past, it'll plague. It'll spread. And Randwick, local government area, the Coogee area will never be the same again. Now, I've had little things happen, and there are people like I mentioned, Rona Wade and others that have spoken to me on matters, and I've listened. I've not always agreed with them, and and others I've agreed on. But this is definitely unacceptable, not only to the Rona Wades of Coogee, but the whole Coogee community. We talk about a sense of community. Now is our time to amalgamate. Now is our time to join forces and put a stop to this very, very destructive overdevelopment. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Nielsen.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just like to say that I commend this motion because I think it's incredibly important that council as a group, and I'm sure we're all going to endorse this and support this motion, it's incredibly important that we as a council stick to the rules that we have, and particularly, as it said in the motion, in heritage and environmentally sensitive coastal areas of Randwick LGA. And I think as a group, we should stand together and support our community and support the rules that we have in our council to improve the environment in which we all live. So I commend this motion.
Councillor De Rocha.
I also commend this motion, and very well spoken by Councillor Bowen, somebody that I highly respect, and I hope to learn a lot more of. I think we owe it to our communities. Thank you.
Councillor Luxford.
Yeah, I too commend this motion because it's really important that that our council fights over development in all areas of our city, because we have a wonderful city. We don't want the landscape of our city changed to look vastly different from what we knew and what we love about our city. And gross overdevelopment is happening all over Randwick City at the moment, and we really need to put a stop to it. And I have consistently voted against overdevelopment in all areas of Randwick City, and I will continue to do so. So I commend this motion.
Councillor Stavrinos.
Mr. Mayor, look, I'm happy to support this urgency motion put forward by Councillor Bowen tonight to go on with the sentiments of Councillor Luxford. Yes, overdevelopment should be called out wherever it is, irrespective of whether it's in Kingsford, Kensington, Maroubra, Coogee, wherever it might be. Overdevelopment should be called out for what it is. Now, I too am very concerned about what the implication that this development could have, on the village feel of Coogee. And look, I'm happy to support it, and I hope that something good comes out of it. And I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Councillor Bowen, do you want to wrap it up or just put it?
Just put it, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. So, councillors, all those in favour say aye.
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 Against? I declare that.
You need a division, please, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, division.
It's obvious. It's
Yeah,
unanimous.
well, I'll read out the names, Mr. Kelly, because it was unanimous. So,
How would you need a division on this?
Councillor Shuri's in the room. Councillor Shuri,
Yes.
Councillor Nielsen,
Yes.
Politics.
Councillor Veach,
Yes.
Councillor Stravinos,
Yes.
Councillor Luxford,
Yes.
Councillor Parker,
For.
Councillor Sang,
Yes.
Councillor Andrews,
For.
Councillor Bowen,
Yes.
Councillor Matson's out, Councillor Roberts,
For.
Councillor De Rocha,
For.
Councillor De Souza,
For.
and the Mayor is for. That's unanimous. But can I just please note, Mr. Kelly, that you have Councillor Hamilton and Councillor Matson had to leave the room as they're on the panel. Okay. So now we go into in seriatim, which is only a few there. So, councillors.
Hello.
Oh, sorry, we just got to wait till the others come back in the room. Sorry.
Thank you.
I think Councillor Matson's back. Councillor Hamilton, are you back?
I just texted her.
Thank you.
Councillor Hamilton's just coming back.
Councillor Hamilton is back.
Okay.
In the room.
So,
Definitely in the
Present.
so I'll do the in seriatim, and there's only 3 items from now. There's no general managers reports. CP 52/21. Unchallenged. CS 37/21 is Councillor Nielsen.
CS 3721, Mr. Mayor. CS 3721.
I think Councillor Nielsen already called that,
Yeah,
Councillor
it's
De
already called.
Souza.
No,
Yeah,
no.
that's fine. As long as I can
No,
speak
it's-
on the matter. But I
Excuse
thought
me,
I.
it's a different number. Councillor De Souza, you're calling,
CS 3721.
I've already called that, yes.
Very good, very good.
And CO 35/21. Unchallenged. Can I have someone move the unchallenged items, please?
Move that one,
Steve.
Councillor
Alan.
Langford has
I'll second them.
moved and seconded by Councillor Hamilton. So, Councillor Nielsen on CS 37/21.
I'm moving it as per the business paper.
Can I second that, please, Councillor Shuey?
Your Councillor Shuri is seconded. Thank
But
you.
I have a question, and it's to the relevant director, Todd Clark, and that is, when do we expect the work will actually get underway? And importantly, when do we anticipate it will be completed?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. I'd have to take the question on notice. Sorry, Councillor. The and why that's the case is we're just working out the planning pathway approval process at the moment. So once we get an understanding of the required planning pathway, development application, and the like, then I can give you a considered construction program. But would obviously like to get that done as quick as possible given the coming season. But I don't think that's practicable with the required planning approval.
Understand. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to speak on the matter.
I'll just have the seconder. Councillor Shuri, would you like to speak?
Only to say that, I think money spent on our surf lifesaving clubs is money well spent. But I was absolutely shocked. I've always thought of Clovelly Beach as being a particularly safe beach. And when I saw the numbers there of, important,
I think what you're alluding to is that it has the highest number of first aid cases in Australia.
Yeah,
and it's not because of drowning; it's because of people cutting themselves on the rocks, etc. So
yeah, or those little sea urchiny things, which my daughter got one in her foot. I commend this to you, councillors, please.
Councillor De Souza.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much.
Sorry.
Yep. Mr. Mayor, as we all know, surf lifesaving clubs are the heart of many local communities and deliver more than just an on-beach safety service. Clovelly Lifesaving Club, like the other lifesaving clubs in our area, offer training, education, recreation, a place to socialise and to give people a sense of purpose and belonging. When I was Mayor of Randwick, I was involved in a mega project at Coogee Beach to build a much needed underground facility for the lifesavers and the community. We needed many new amenities and storage facilities for our lifesavers, similar to what is needed at the Clovelly Lifesaving Club. The project in Coogee was literally groundbreaking. It was something that had to be done, and we did it. The Clovelly Lifesaving Club and the situation it's in at the moment, it's a great opportunity to get an equitable outcome for the people of Clovelly and the Clovelly community. Certainly it won't be of the macro scale of Coogee, but it'll certainly accommodate the lifesavers and build a more functional facility for the community. After visiting the club, Mr. Mayor, it became obvious to me, to any fair-minded person, and I know one of the chaps over there, Bob Callaghan, a doctor, who I became a friend with over the years, but it became obvious to me this club needed a bit of TLC. So I fully support the report and I fully support the refurbishment which is badly needed at the Clovelly Lifesaving Club. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Hamilton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to throw my full support behind this. I think the Clovelly Surf Club do a fantastic job. And when you head down there on a hot day and you see the surf lifesavers sitting in plastic chairs outside the door and trying to dispense out first aid to cuts and scratches, as we know, is predominant in the beach there and surrounding areas. And I myself have come astray there and had a few cuts and bruises myself. So I fully support all the work that the council are doing in helping the club rejuvenate and set themselves up for future success. So well done to the council staff, and thank you very much from the residents of North Ward.
Thank you. Councillor Beach.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, I'm really sorry, everyone. My audio dropped out a little bit at one point. I'm sorry to interrupt the debate speeches on this item, which I'm very happy to support. Did we just vote in support of a number of items in seriatim?
Yes.
I would like, I'm begging your indulgence due to internet problems, but I would like my name recorded against CP 52/21, please.
Oh, as in to speak on it or to?
Could you just record my name as voting against?
Okay, yep.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, that's fine. No problem. I'd also like my name to be recorded against that as well.
Councillor Luxford, I'm assuming you will too.
I thought we had to call division on these things.
I moved it.
No, you didn't. Not CP 52/21.
It was an
unchallenged.
It was unchallenged, though, wasn't it?
That's right. That's right. Councillor.
How can we go back? How can we keep going back?
Councillor De Rocha.
Sorry.
Councillor Beach was saying that she had internet troubles and was unable to challenge it. So she's asking for indulgence to say that she would like her name to record it that she's against it.
Yeah, but there was others then that followed. Like so.
Could I just suggest, if there's considerable debate around this, that you consider rescinding it, that we re-debate it later?
We might as well re-debate it and then we'll just go straight into it. You're right, Councillor.
Yep.
So
Thank
we
you.
go back to, we still haven't voted on CS 37/21. So we'll put it to the vote. All those in favour, say aye.
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 Against?
Aye.
Carry. So now we'll go back to CP 52/21. Is that, do you need to do anything formally to the General Manager or to?
No. Just noting down
Maybe move a rescission
those
motion.
that wanted.
That's what should happen.
So it should be challenged then.
Actually, it
Apologies,
was
Mr.
challenged.
Mayor, my mouse just wasn't working.
Hamilton, sorry. I had it down as unchallenged.
Mr. Mayor, the matter's
Councillor
been,
Luxford, I apologise. You
Mr. Mayor,
challenged.
the matter's been dealt with. Let's move
No,
on.
it's not been dealt.
It hasn't been
it
dealt
was-
with because
No,
actually
it wasn't
councillors-
challenged.
It wasn't challenged, but I've got
It was in seriatim.
I didn't think it was challenged.
It wasn't challenged, but I was not able to, my
was not
internet dropped out momentarily. I couldn't hear it, and I would just like my name recorded against this item.
Mr. Mayor, I move a procedural motion that Councillor Veitch's opposition to that particular resolution be noted in the minutes.
That's fine. And anyone else. Look, I'm allowing anyone else who actually.
Take it out of the in seriatim. Can we do that?
You move a rescission motion.
That's right, because I'm sure you don't want to be, look, councillors, I'm allowing a little bit of fair play here. I'm sure Councillor Luxford, she moved the unchallenged items, but I'm sure she wouldn't want to be the mover of this item. So I'm willing to take both names off for now, Councillor Luxford and Councillor Hamilton. And so we'll just go straight back to who would like to move it as the General Manager.
Sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor. I was just going to suggest, as per Councillor Parker's suggestion, just for procedure, you probably should have a rescission motion and then go back to reconsider it.
Or can I just do it this way? Just get someone to move it and someone to second it?
I move it.
And we'll just rely on technical difficulties for Councillor Beach, and that's why we had to remove it. So that's fine. That's fine. Councillor, do I have a seconder?
I'm happy to put my name to a rescission motion if necessary.
I'm just happy to re-debate it. So Councillor De Roche has moved it. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second it. Councillor Matson.
Councillor Matson.
I'm confused.
So we're now voting on this resolution.
Mr. Mayor, can I suggest you get a division?
Yeah. Go straight to a division.
Okay, straight to division. So I'll go around the horseshoe.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor. What are we actually voting? Are we voting for the rescission motion, or are we voting
No, we're
for
voting
something
on
No, the letter of offer. The letter of offer.
the letter of offer.
in the
So,
business paper?
yes, as per the business paper, because it was unchallenged, but it is now
Or
challenged.
is there any debate on this? How about debate?
Do you really want to have debate, or we just?
I think you need to ask, does anyone want to debate it?
Well,
Happy to.
I don't really want to.
Councillor
No,
DeRocha, do you want to say something? So you're the mover.
No, I just want to keep going.
Councillor Matson, seconder.
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, I'll put it. So I'll go around, pull a division. Councillor Hamilton.
And is it for the
Yes.
business paper? Yep, I'm for recommendations on
No,
the
yeah,
business
sorry,
paper.
the vote is for as per business paper.
As per the business paper. For.
For Councillor Hamilton. Councillor Shuri.
For.
Councillor Nielsen.
For.
Councillor Veach.
Against.
Councillor Trevinos.
Against.
Councillor Luxford.
Against.
Councillor Parker.
For.
Councillor Sang.
For.
Councillor Andrews.
Against.
Councillor Bowen.
Against.
Councillor Matson.
For.
Councillor Roberts.
For.
Councillor DeRocha. Councillor DeRocha. It's your motion. Councillor DeRocha.
For.
Councillor D'Souza.
For.
And the mayor's for. I think that is carried. Yes. Yes, and I declare that carried.
Mr Mayor, so I'll just point out there is provision in the Code of Meeting Practice to recommit an item to correct a situation that just happened there. So what you've done
Yeah.
is perfectly okay.
And can we use the reasoning that it is an online situation where there was difficulties in, which we wouldn't usually have? Is that something that's different? Anyway, we'll move forward.
We can do that. That's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Kelly. So
I'll leave.
now we go to it's confidential.
You don't have to read
I'll
out
announce them
the.
for the record.
You don't have to read out the
CO36/21 is
divisions.
carried. CS39/21 is carried. CP53/21 is carried. And I close the meeting now at 8:51.